Hello, this is Shoko Amioka. So today in this presentation, I'm going to explore how the WUSTL-ALLEX Japanese teacher training affected participants' teaching. And my project aims to evaluate how the WUSTL-ALLEX Japanese teacher training affected participants' teaching. As a graduate of the teaching training course, I observed and analyzed my teaching demonstration that I did in June to August in 2019 during the Japanese teacher training course. I also observed my current teaching at the beginning Japanese courses at University of Southern Indiana to compare my teaching in the past and now. I also analyzed how my teaching has changed over the time and how I have maintained the principles that I learned through the program. I also interviewed 5 people who took part in the same teacher training course with me as a training teachers to see what principles of the teacher training institute they have maintained or not maintained in their workplaces. The result of my project will become valuable resource to see the effectiveness of the course of the WUSTL-ALLEX Japanese teacher training course and also to find areas that should be improved. So here are the research questions. First of all, what principles of the WUSTL-ALLEX Japanese Teacher Training Institute have the graduates maintained in different educational institutions where they work? And the second of all, what principles of the WUSTL-ALLEX Japanese Teacher Training did the participants have to change or adjust in order to meet their students' needs or school's policies? Lastly, my question is, how are the trainee teachers now feeling about the teacher training course? What areas they think should be improved or should be appreciated? So here's a little bit background information about WUSTL-ALLEX Japanese Teacher Training Institute. And this program is a full-time intensive program which is held each summer at Washington University in St. Louis. The course has mainly 3 goals. First of all, to instill an understanding of developments in language teaching, particularly Japanese language teaching, that view language as meaning-making activity that involves reflective performance. And the second goal is to give ample opportunities in practice teaching with abundant constructive feedback. Lastly, the goal is to prepare participants to assume responsibility for an elementary language program at an American institution. This 7-week summer teaching training program is taught by master university instructors and experts in Japanese pedagogy, and this program emphasizes the teaching of Japanese, specifically to native English speakers. Most of the participants of this program are from Japan, and most language learners studying Japan are from nearby Asian countries, so students who are learning Japanese in Japan have very different language backgrounds from students in the American university classroom. So this program was very valuable for those of the students who are going to teach Japanese in American universities. I completed the 2-month program in August 2018 as preparation for teaching assignment at University of Southern Indiana. About literature review, here's a little bit information about my literature review. And there were several topics that I focused on when I searched for relevant publications regarding my research. Since I have a limited time here today, I'm going to talk about only these 2, performed culture and also act and fact. About performed culture, this is one of the focuses the WUSTL-ALLEX Japanese training courses had. So they train students to function successfully in the Japanese culture using Japanese as their primary language. The program focused on teaching them how to present themselves in a way that is comfortable for Japanese people. So the course aimed to help students to develop skills in Japanese to cross ethnic, cultural, ideological, and national boundaries, and to gain an understanding of Japanese interpersonal behavior and related thought patterns. The students were expected to build a basic Japanese language proficiency, but also demonstrate a level of cultural understanding suitable for correct performance of assigned tasks in Japanese. About ACT and FACT, as you can see on this chart, there are two types of class. ACT classes are conducted entirely in Japanese, which means no English was allowed. In ACT classes, students perform all in Japanese, utilizing knowledge and skills they learned at home. And students' performance will be graded hourly, and they're going to get feedback from instructors on a regular basis. On the other hand, FACT is declarative knowledge, and FACT classes were usually held twice a week, and it supports their performance in ACT classes. FACT classes are primarily conducted in English to discuss mechanics of the course, connections between sentence patterns, grammatical points, cultural interactional strategies for communicating Japanese, and other important other components of the learning materials. Moving on to methodology. So let me explain briefly how I conducted my research. First of all, I analyzed my teaching demonstration, which was videotaped during the teaching training course in 2019. I also analyzed my current teaching, which was videotaped in this semester, and in total there were 7 times. And then the number 3, I interviewed 4 graduates from the WUSTL-ALLEX Japanese teacher training course to analyze their teaching. They are all working for different schools. Finally, I collected the data to analyze the data. So here's my case at Japanese 102, beginning Japanese at University of Southern Indiana. I'm currently teaching Japanese 101, Japanese beginning Japanese, and the 001 has 8 students, and 002 has 10 students, and we're currently using Genki 1. And then this is the information about the four teachers who are currently teaching at different universities. And then here's what it looks like. Okay, moving on to result. Talking about my case at USI first. Okay, so things I maintained from the things I learned from Alex was like this. I'm still using the similar syllabus as WUSTL-ALLEX suggested. I also use ACT-FACT class format. I also follow performed culture philosophy that WUSTL-ALLEX suggested. About things I adjusted in order to fit my students, my classrooms. One of the things is that I sometimes allow students to speak English even during the ACT class, because some students feel extremely nervous about talking in front of the class. So sometimes I ask them if they really need help from me or from other students. I allow them to speak English even during the ACT class. And I also try to offer them more cultural experiences and also reflection times and also presentation times besides ACT-FACT classes. I also give them pair work and group works. We also do drills and practices at the beginning of the class, unlike the WUSTL-ALLEX the course. Reason because I do this is that some students feel very nervous about expressing themselves uh, in front of class. So I want them to feel more comfortable. Um, so I give them uh, I give them a chance to practice in pairs or groups first, and then I will ask them to perform in front of the class. That way they will feel less stressed and feel more comfortable. I personally think so. That's why I'm doing like this. And my reflection on the teacher training course is like this. Um, the, Looking back at the ALLEX training course, what was good point to take the training course was like this. I learned how to effectively teach Japanese to English speakers, native English speakers, and it was a very good lesson because I have been teaching Japanese for 5 years, but I never taught Japanese grammars using English language. So this was a very good opportunity for me to learn that, and I also had many teaching demos. In total, I had 5 times teaching demos, and I could get decent feedback from the main teachers, and it was very valuable lessons for me. So I really appreciate this. I really appreciate that. And I really learned how teachers should interact with the students in America, such as things we should know about them and things we should care about as teachers, professional teachers. That was a very good lesson because the culture we have as Japanese are very different from the one in America. So it was very good lessons for as a teacher. And what I think, the things I wish I could learn more from ALLEX is like this. Um, I didn't really learn about how to manage a large class during the ALLEX training course. And since I had a very large class last semester, I sometimes struggle with handling with large number of students at the same time. So I wish I could have learned more about that. And I also wanted to learn more about inclusive teaching, since in America especially, we have diverse cultural backgrounds, diverse students who have different diverse backgrounds. So we need to make sure we give them equal opportunities for every student so that they can have they can receive quality education, I believe. So I wish I could have learned more about inclusive teaching during the ALLEX training program. Um, Another thing is that I wanted to learn more about how to deal with individual student problems, such as, for example, how to deal with the students who often come late to class or who often chat with other classmates and bother other students, something like that. I wanted to know more about how to deal with those individual student problems effectively. I also wanted to learn how to incorporate technology into class, not only because I'm having issues. I'm currently teaching online courses affected by the coronavirus issues. Um, I always wanted to learn about this because uh, I think it will be very effective if we could effectively use technology in our class. So I personally think a WUSTL-ALLEX Japanese teaching training course should suggest or show participants how we could incorporate technology into language learning class. And let me quickly go over other 4 ALLEX teacher training graduates. So person 8 is working at the University A. He also used exactly same syllabus, act, fact system, and also performed culture, but he changed like this. So he allowed students to speak English during act class, just like me as well. And his reflection on the teacher training course was like this. He said basically everything he learned from the program was very valuable, and especially pedagogical grammar class was very helpful for him because uh, as a native Japanese speaker, he never seen Japanese Japanese language and grammar objectively. So it was valuable lesson, he said. Um, what he thought he wished he could learn more from Alex was like this. He wanted to learn more about how to manage a large class, and also he wanted to learn how to use group work, pair work effectively while maintaining comunicativeness. He also wanted to learn more about how to assess big size class since he had over 23 students. He wanted to learn more about how to effectively conduct in class using group activities and also how to assess big size class. And this is how it looks like in person B situation. So she also used a similar syllabus, and she also used act, fact, and also followed performed culture. But what she changed was she often used pair group work, just like I did. She said she did this because a lot of students felt very nervous, and she wanted to give them a chance to practice first with their partners and group members so that they will feel more comfortable when they have to speak in front of the class. And then person B's reflection on the program was like this. She had very positive perspective towards WUSTL-ALLEX program, but on the other hand, she said she wanted to learn more about how to deal with the students who are struggling at certain things, how we can support them, giving them counseling opportunities, for example. She wanted to learn more about that, how we can help them. She also thought students are also humans, so teaching is not something we can learn from textbook or lectures. So she wanted to have more teaching demonstration opportunities, she said, rather than having lecture time. She also said she found the pedagogical grammar course in ALLEX was very helpful for her, but the materials we received from the teacher was not something we can apply to individual schools immediately. So that was her concern. And she also wished she also wishes she could have learned more about how to motivate students to study Japanese, such as giving them cultural experience opportunities or so how we can motivate them to study Japanese more enjoyably. And she personally thinks ALLEX should offer more opportunities for graduates to share their experiences at individual schools so that we can share our worries and concerns and problems, and we can talk to each other. And then at the end, hopefully we can solve the problems. So she wanted the program to give us more opportunities to share our experiences after the program. This is how it looks like person C at the University C, and he also used similar syllabus as WUSTL-ALLEX suggested, and he used act fact and also used performed culture philosophy. But in his case, the school focused more on grammar, and yes, he also tried to use act fact class first couple of weeks, but since many of the students looked very overwhelmed by the act class format, so in the middle of the semester, he changed the class format. So what he did is like this. So during the first 20 minutes, he did fact using English, and they gave them explanation, instruction in English, and after that, they moved on to act class using Japanese. That way, students seemed more relaxed and comfortable using Japanese, he said. According to him, even though Alex paid attention to attitudes and manner etiquette while they're performing Japanese uh, language, but in his case, he didn't really pay attention to those attitudes and manner during the class. He said he more focused on the language itself. And he also used a lot of pair group works, just like I did. And um, and unlike the Alex, the test he made included not only listening and speaking, but also reading and writing as well, he said. So his reflection on the teaching training course was like this. He found it very valuable. He found the program very valuable lessons for me because he could learn how to do communicative class using ACT and such as how to present visual images and also how to elicit target language expressions from students. But what things he wish he could have learned more from Alex was he didn't really learn about how to teach fact using English during the WUSTL-ALLEX teaching training course. So he wanted to learn more about how to teach fact. And finally, this is the person D at the University D. Then in her case, she didn't really use ACT fact class format, and she didn't follow performed culture either. So in her case, the syllabus looked completely different from the one as WUSTL-ALLEX suggested. So what she changed was like this. So she often used English actually during class, except certain classroom expressions such as please read this, 読んでください. Please pronounce this, 言ってください. Except certain classroom expressions, she often used English during the class. And in her courses, they often did many traditional translation activities, very traditional translation activities, such as she sometimes asked them to translate one of the conversation into Japanese or into English. And then in her courses, they focused on not only listening, speaking, but also reading and writing often. According to her, it is because a lot of the students are planning to go into study in Japan after graduation, and then they need to take JLPT and Japanese Study Abroad exam very soon, and then those tests needs only listening, writing, and reading. So that's why they also focus on reading and writing, she said. She also said they in her school they don't really make comments about students' manner and etiquette during the class. They don't really pay attention to their attitudes while they're performing Japanese language, she said. Her reflection on the teacher training program was looking like this. What she found effective was, since it was the very first time for her to teach Japanese, so every lesson was very valuable, she said, and especially like other participants, the pedagogical grammar class was very helpful for her, she said. And what she found a little bit negative was like this. She wishes she could have learned more about how to manage a large size class. She wanted to learn more about that because she had a very large class, over 20 students. So she wanted to learn more about how we can use group pair works effectively in order and while still maintaining communicative type of class. And she also wanted to learn more about how to incorporate technology into class, since 6 of the students from the beginning classes are joining online from different locations. So she sometimes finds difficulty with the technology, and then she also wondered how she could do more effectively using the technology. So that was her um, that was her thought. And okay, then moving on to discussion. So a lot of participants seem like they found pedagogical Japanese grammar course was very helpful because a lot of the participants have not learned Japanese grammar objectively. I mean, how we can effectively teach Japanese grammar to English speakers. So this seems like very helpful for many participants. However, they also wanted to learn more about how to manage a large size class and also how to learn about how to incorporate technology into class, how to teach fact class using English, since we didn't really have opportunities to teach fact class during the teaching demos. They also said they wanted to have more opportunities after graduation to share experiences with other ALEX graduates so that we can share our thoughts and worries and concerns, and also we can support each other. Okay, finally, as conclusion, I think I still need to collect more data from other ALEX graduates in order to analyze more deeply. And I still believe this project will be very valuable to see the effectiveness of the courses of WUSTL-ALLEX Japanese teacher training, and also to find out areas that should be improved. Thank you so much for listening, and I also thank you so much for your time. Thank you.